bit to you about the European Union. Now, I'm suspecting that some of you possibly are members of UKIP. Do we have a quick show of hands? Yep, some of you, but not all of you. So forgive me if I'm going over old ground for those of you that have been in the party for 20 years, but I think it's always good to be reminded anyway about some of the implications for Britain being in Europe. So let's start with democracy. We think we live in a democracy, right? We think that we go to the polling booths once every 5 years and we vote for our Member of Parliament, and they go to the House of Commons with other Members of Parliament, and a government is formed and the government makes laws, and if we don't like those laws we can boot them out again in 5 years' time. That's how it works, right? Well, no, not really, unfortunately, because so much of our legislation now is covered by the European Union. In fact, there are estimates anything between about 50% and 84% of British laws are actually nothing to do with the Houses of Parliament of Westminster and everything to do with the European Union. And the big difference between democracy as we think of it in Britain and a lack of democracy as we have it in Europe is that at least we can elect our Members of Parliament, and if we don't like them and they don't work on our behalf, then we can boot them out of the ballot box. But of course the EU Commission, which is actually making laws which govern our country, works in a very, very different way. They're not elected. 28 commissioners, one for every country that's currently a member of the European Union. Of course, more countries come in, such as Albania, Serbia, Turkey, whatever it might be, or countries that are planning to join the European Union, then that number will go up. All 28 of them are not elected. We don't vote them in, and we can't vote them out. They deliberate in secret. We can't see them in action, we can't question them, and they're put there by people who really have no accountability to the voters, not just in Britain, but in every other EU member country as well. So it's not just us in Britain who are suffering as a result of EU membership, and I think sometimes we forget that. We tend to think very much about our own country. But of course, other member states are increasingly getting very agitated about the extent to which Europe is interfering in their lives as well. And Britain's not the only country that's talking about leaving, and UKIP's not the only party across the European Union that's thinking about leaving either. So how do we get ourselves into this mess? Of course, back in 1973, the laws on immigration, David Cameron's done his big immigration speech today, which is frankly so full of holes, a sieve would hold water more easily. I won't go into huge detail about Cameron's speech, but suffice to say I think that the measures that he's proposing in some respects similar to those that UKIP has proposed, but the difference is UKIP knows they will work because we'll be outside the European Union. What Cameron's proposing requires treaty change within the European Union. Now, treaty change is not something that comes simply or easily. It's something that all 28 member states have to agree with. And it's also something that's probably not going to happen for at least 4 years. So it's nothing that can be done before the election. So just when back in 2010 he said he'd cut net migration to the tens of thousands, now he's saying he can do it again. But of course, we know he really can't. But I don't want to focus on immigration because I think we talk about that an awful lot. I'd just like to talk a little bit more about some of the other issues around the European Union that I find very hard to stomach. It's probably the world's most expensive club to join. It costs us £55 million every day gross. Now, yes, we get some of that back through what's called the rebate. So if you give some, you get given some back. But our net contribution is still at least £12 billion every year. Since we joined the European Union in 1973, we have paid out some 97 billion in total. And every year, bar one, we have paid the European Union more than we have got back. There's only 1 year when we were technically in profit on our contributions. Would anybody like to take a guess at when that year was?
73, 74.
Congratulations, then, 1975, the year of that referendum. So not only is it an expensive club to be a member of, I don't think when we give them our money that they actually spend our money very well. We've had to pay £12 million bailing out the failed Euro project when countries like Greece, Spain, Portugal, Ireland failed as a result of this mad idea to try and have a single currency across all 28 member states. And it's not going to get any better, is it? It's not getting any better. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were told we had to pay an extra 1.7 billion because Britain's economy is doing rather well than everywhere else, and apparently we're doing particularly well in drugs and prostitution, so that's why we have to pay 1.7 billion. I don't know if we get the tax income from drugs and prostitution, but there you go, so I'm not quite sure how it works. And then the day before yesterday, it was announced that there's a huge black hole in European Union spending plans over the next 6 years. So in the next 6 years, we're also going to be looking at helping to plug that hole to the tune of 34 billion. So if you thought that 1.7 billion was bad enough, believe me, you ain't seen nothing.
Come on the fact that at the moment we've got an immigration system that we can't control, and I think we've got something in common whereby our own elected politicians in Westminster are told what to do by bureaucrats in Brussels. But the main thing that I think we've all got in common in this room, over the last 20 or 30 years, way before my time, is that we've got 3 political parties in this country. The Conservative Party, the Liberal Democrat Party and the Labour Party that have consistently lied, taken us for granted and treated us with disrespect. And I think the reason that we're all in this room tonight is because we're fighting back and we want something different, we want a change. Now, I'm here as a young person and I get asked a lot as a young person, why am I in UKIP? Because UKIP is full of old men that are all down the golf club, that all drink real ale and that tell rude jokes. Well, that is not the case. We're a growing party, we've got a growing youth wing, and our youth wing is growing in the thousands and thousands and thousands. We've gone and put a lot of members on since the May elections. And when I get asked, why do you vote UKIP down? I do get asked it a lot. I say, well actually, I'm 18, and in May, I've got a choice to make because there's a general election. And I could vote for the Conservative Party. But I don't want to vote for the Conservative Party because the Conservatives are leading on nothing and following on everything under David Cameron's leadership. I say I don't want to vote for the Labour Party because they've not only saddled my generation in debt, but they've also saddled my children's generation in debt. And that is debt that will possibly never, ever, ever get repaid back. And I say, I'm not going to vote for the Lib Dems because they promised time and time again ridiculous things to young people that never materialised, never happened, and they've thrown it back in our faces. And I say I'm voting UKIP because I want no tax on the minimum wage. I think it is a disgrace that when young people get a job and they're trying to find their way and they're trying to get up on their feet and make something of themselves, that the state should be able to take money away from them straight away. Because we're trying to find our feet, we're trying to get growing in the world, and I think that's wrong. So no tax on the minimum wage, says UKIP. I think that we need a grammar school system whereby if you have potential, if you're willing to work hard, there's a way that you have social mobility in this country to achieve. Because at the moment, we haven't got that. And it's something that the Labour Party have never done. And whatever they tell you about it and that they're going to do it is a bunch of lies, because look at their track record. And then finally I say, I'm going to vote UKIP as a young person because I want something different. I believe I'm here this evening to talk to you about the future. But to talk about the future,
that are willing to change, to do the best they can. Not here to make promises. If you want promises, Ed Miliband, David Cameron, they'll give you all sorts of promises. I only say I'm going to try the best I can. And Harlow needs that. We have a situation right now with illegal encampments. And we've got the Tories saying, oh, we need to change the laws. Has anybody read the Star today? Front page of the Star? Robert Halfon went to Westminster and started a debate about illegal encampments. Okay, that's great. We've got lots of laws to deal with illegal encampments, but they're not being executed properly. It doesn't matter how many laws you have. You can send them down from the European government, Parliament and everyone else. But if you're not implementing them, does it make any difference? And here's the problem we've got. We have a political establishment that likes to blame everybody else. Even our labor group here in Harlow, God bless them. They're good people. They're very good people. Some of them are saying that the illegal encampments, they welcome these people. Okay? I have nothing I have nothing against these people. The vast majority of them are good, hard-working people. The vast majority of them. But are they breaking the law? If the answer is yes, then something needs to be done about it. If the answer is no, carry on. I say they are breaking the law. And I say that our police must enforce the laws. I say that our counselors must work together to have a clear mandate that we won't tolerate it. Now, it's strange. You think about this in a local aspect. Okay? Counselors working together. It's a good thing. Now, if we can do it in the local area, can we do it nationally? People say that, oh, are we going to be in coalition with Labour and the Lib Dems? Should we have the Tories and UKIP? Should we have the Tories and Labour? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? The point I'd like to make is this. There is one party out there that hold strong values, that want to work with people. How many people object to the lights being turned off by Essex County Council? It's strange how, previous to having a group of UKIP councillors, you wouldn't get any cross-member participation. But now that we've got some UKIP councillors, all three groups, Labour, Tory, and UKIP, are putting forward things to Essex County Council saying, we want this for our town. That is something quite amazing, isn't it? Where else would you get that? But the people of Harlow can see that, and they will understand that. We can be part of it.